When us two country folk willingly head to the big city, that can only mean one thing. We're going on a bike trip.
We've never been in an elevator before.
Although big cities aren't really my cup of tea, I'm always up for a little bit of urban riding, especially when there are bike lanes. The bike lanes carried us directly from Grant Street Transportation Center to Point State Park, which is where we would start our ride on the GAP and C&O from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Washington, D.C. Now, this wasn't our first time riding the GAP and C&O.
Here we go!
We actually completed the ride a few years ago. Last time, we began in D.C., which meant we would have to tackle the 25-mile climb out of Cumberland.
That's where we came from.
Having some GAP and C&O experience under our belt, we decided to ride it in the opposite direction this time. As you probably know, normal, everyday things become extra special and exciting on a bike tour. You'll come across pavilions, bike repair tools, picnic tables, and, well, just wait. It gets even better. Our first stop was in West Newton, where we stayed at the Bright Morning Bed and Breakfast. We locked up our bikes in the shed, and I was shocked to run into a couple that recognized me from my videos. So cool. We explored the tiny town before hitting the hay. The next day, we hit the trail bright and early. One thing I love about bike touring is feeling disconnected from the hustle and bustle of the outside world. You spend your day just focused on riding, snacking, and just living life.
Second day has gone well so far. We are headed towards Ohiopyle.
Like I've already mentioned, those little things seem that much more fun. Like stopping by the grocery store.
Grocery run.
The muffins even taste better. You've heard the phrase, stop and smell the roses, but on the GAP, we stopped and checked out the waterfalls.
Wow!
And, the wildlife. And there were enough bridges to keep us entertained for hours.
Ohiopyle! Woo!
We soon found ourselves in Ohiopyle, where we explored the sights, checked out some more waterfalls, and then checked into our place for the night. Falls Market Inn. By the third day of our ride, I think we were definitely settling in to life in the saddle.
Another day, another bridge.
And we had come across something we haven't come across yet. A tunnel. The Pinkerton Tunnel, to be exact. And this definitely wouldn't be the last tunnel of our trip. After coming across some more interesting creatures,
What the heck?
we neared our night's destination of Myersdale. We grabbed some food at Donja's Drive-In, which was also the place we happened to be staying. Last time we stayed at Yoder's guest house, which was across the street, but they were booked, and we were glad to have a place to stay for the night. When I planned this trip, I knew that day 4 would be an awesome day. For the past several days, we had been riding up the gentle 1% grade to the Eastern Continental Divide. Once we topped out, it would be time to cruise into Cumberland for nearly 20 miles. We also came to another highlight of our trip, some pretty amazing tunnels. The first one being the Big Savage Tunnel.
This is cool. It's really cold in here. Hope I don't hit something. The tunnel that we just went through is the Big Savage Tunnel, and it's about 3/4 of a mile long. It's lit so you can see, you don't really need lights, and it's really cold inside.
Next, we came across the Mason-Dixon line, which also serves as the border of Pennsylvania and Maryland.
Ooh, cold! Those are like motion detector lights, but they come on after. Oh, well, a couple of them are late. Oh, 3, 2, 1, go! Oh yeah, I called that one.
Gotta love a good tunnel. And as if the day couldn't get any better, we actually got to see a train coming right up the trail.
They were waving. That was awesome. So cool. I think the end's just right up here.
As we neared Cumberland, we knew our day wasn't over yet.
We have made it to the end of the Great Allegheny Passage, or the beginning, depending on where you're starting. We've got this really cool little thing to ride under. Looks like they've got a sign for the beginning of the towpath on this side, and the other side is for the Great Allegheny Passage.
After officially completing the GAP, we checked out the visitor center, which had some replicas of the canal boats that they used on the C&O Canal. This was a cool way to begin our C&O ride. But first, I had to pet this cute dog and get some ice cream. The C&O definitely has its own vibe. In places, it's a little bit more rough, and some places even seem like you're riding on single track. But just like the GAP, the C&O is filled with cool sights around every corner, like the old locks and lock houses. Speaking of log houses, another thing I was really looking forward to was where we were staying for the night. The Lock 70 Schoolhouse in Old Town. You can book this entire schoolroom and have it to yourselves regardless of how many people are in your group. And there's lots and lots of cool things in this room. First off, when you walk in, there's a nice bike rack over to the side for you to put your things. There's a little living room area with a chair, a sectional sofa, a TV, some DVDs. There's a little kitchen area with a bar and some bar stools, a refrigerator, a microwave.
What do you have, ma'am?
There's lots of options on where to sleep. There's a king-size bed. And there's 4 little spots at the bunk beds. There's a little spot for kids with a whiteboard that you can draw on and some coloring books. The bathroom's pretty old school, but it's clean, and you've got washers and dryers, a couple of sinks, the toilet, and a shower. And a nice big mirror to make sure you look okay for the day. What most people don't realize though is that it's also an obstacle course. First, you're gonna start here at the bike racks. You're gonna make your way through the kitchen. Gonna make this turn, go around through the bunk beds, make another sharp turn. The store is gonna have to be closed. Make your way into the living area, through this little nook, and back to the bike rack. And if you complete it, you get a starburst. I'm gonna stack the trophies here for some motivation. That's what we're working for, people. How do you think it looks? Take 3.
We're finishing first place in her bid for the semifinalists. Somebody moved the table.
We were a little sad to leave the schoolhouse the next morning, but we had more sights to see and more miles to ride.
Paw Tunnel. Oh yeah. Pretty bumpy. It looks like they paved it. It used to be really bumpy through here. I think we're gonna walk it. So correction, they have not smoothed the surface of the Paw Tunnel. Yeah, it's really rough. You don't want to ride through here, especially being up high on your bike, and that railing's kind of low, so it might be easy to plummet down there. That'd be kind of bad. Don't recommend riding. It's very uneven, dark, and bumpy. Oh gosh. Seems like it would be easy for them to, I don't know, maybe that's easy for me to say. Solar powered lights would be nice.
Almost to the end. Oh God. Yep, that's it. Oh yeah. Just after you pass Little Orleans, if you are heading east, look for this little ramp and it will take you up to the Western Maryland Rail Trail, which I think is paved, and it's a lot smoother than the tow path, and it gives you a nice break. And I know it goes through Hancock a little ways. I cannot remember. I think it's about 28 miles long, but double check me on that.
But we are about to leave the towpath for a little break and hop on the Western Maryland Rail Trail. Well, that was a false alarm. That was not the right ramp. It did go to the Western Maryland Rail Trail, but it looked like it was the end of it, so I don't know if we missed it or what. But maybe we'll find the actual ramp here in a little bit. I don't know. Okay, I actually found the real ramp. It's the second ramp if you are heading eastward towards DC. Ready? The rail trail's broken up, I think, the last couple of miles on it. You have to hop on the canal towpath. And then that last ramp that we went up by mistake takes you up to the end of it. So this is the actual ramp, thank goodness.
We ended our day at the Super 8 in Hancock. Day 6 was supposed to be a pretty chill day. We were only riding about 25 miles, but it ended up being a pretty interesting 25 miles.
So a few miles ago, probably like 7 or 8 miles ago, a lady told us that a tree was down over the trail. And so we've been pedaling, haven't seen this tree. I mean, it was a while ago. Well, we came to the tree. Yeah, so I guess we'll have to figure out what we're gonna do. Yeah, somebody told us there's a tree down and we didn't think it'd be this bad. Got it.
We stopped to check out the Potomac River before arriving to Bay Farms Bed and Breakfast in Williamsport.
See this right here? This is the pillow.
Come on. You can do it. Come on.
This was my favorite bed and breakfast that we stayed at, and we had it all to ourselves. After basically having a smorgasbord for breakfast, we hit the trail once again. It ended up being a pretty pleasant day with lots of neat sights. Part of the trail was even concrete, which was a big difference from the typical surface of the C&O. We came across another downed tree, which paled in comparison to the one from yesterday.
So here's a little tip. If you are staying in Brunswick, be cautious about booking the travel lodge unless you want to ride up literally the steepest hill you've ever seen in your entire life. We've been up our fair share of steep hills and this is insane. I think the locals call it the brick wall. But Google Maps takes you through town in a really hilly route and it was really awful at the end of the day. I probably wouldn't stay here knowing that, but maybe there's an alternate route. We'll see tomorrow. Goodbye. Francisco. So when you do leave Travelodge, if you stay there, look for Gum Street. It's all downhill back to the trail. Woo-wee. Thank goodness. That's how I felt going up those hills yesterday. So many trains.
We had to make up some time after having to wait for all the trains to pass by. The skies were blue, but there were some storm clouds on the horizon. And despite the storm clouds growing in the distance, I found myself not wanting to rush. I knew that our ride was nearing its end, and I didn't really want to rush through it. We stopped at White's Ferry for some lunch and took off just in time for the waterworks. And I'm not talking about the canal. So, at this point, I was ready to be dry.
Raining.
A little rain never hurts anybody, but the trail is notorious for getting muddy when it rains, and I can confirm it definitely gets muddy.
Look, a little baby goose. Oh, him's tired. I'm scared. I'm scared. It's okay. He wasn't scared at all. That thing was hissing at me. Oh. Oh dear.
The weather cleared long enough for us to dry off and warm back up, only for the heavens to open back up on us. We were ready to be done for the day and to get dry and warm.
Well, it's been a long, rainy, wet, nasty day. But thankfully, we're staying in one of the lock houses. We're staying in Lock House 6. Not all the lock houses have electricity, but this one has electricity. So we're gonna have heat and air and running water and stuff like that. So we're really happy to be staying in the lock house tonight. The reason we're staying there, it's actually 6 miles from the end of the C&O, but we decided that we better stay there and only have a few miles to ride tomorrow before we catch our train, just in case something bad were to happen, like if we had any mechanical issues or bad weather. I think I see it. I think we're desperate to get to the log house. There it is. That's cool. Look at it, it's so cool. And that is where we're staying, Log House 6. Dad, did you bring your EMF meter? Yeah. I don't know if it looks cute or haunted. Whoa. Yeah, where do you sleep? Oh, I missed all that. Well, John Day. Guess I'll go upstairs here. There's a bed. And there's another bed. This is so cool. The bathroom is down here in a dungeon. It's kind of creepy. You have to walk down this hallway.
When my dad picked up some hot chocolate from a bed and breakfast a few days ago, I thought he was crazy. It was 80 degrees. But boy, did it sure come in handy.
Oh yeah, hot chocolate. Hot chocolate.
We dried off and kicked up our feet before tackling the task of cleaning all of the grime off of our bikes. We had to get our trusty steeds presentable for Union Station. And just like that, there we were, on the last day of our trip. It's amazing how you can plan for months and then suddenly it's here. And then you blink and it's over. If bike touring has taught me anything, it's to never take time for granted and to be present in every moment.
Well, we are only about 6 miles from Washington, D.C. and we're gonna go try to find the 0 mile marker. We couldn't find it last time because it's apparently kind of weird to find. So today our goal is to find the 0 mile marker. After that, we're gonna ride through the National Mall, look at the monuments, and then head to the Amtrak station. About 3.5 miles before you get to mile marker 0, look for a sign that says Fletcher's Cove. That's where you can hop on the Capitol Crescent Trail. It's a paved bike path that parallels the C&O. It helps you bypass all the bumpiness, and I think there's some cobblestones in there, but it also helps you get to the mile marker 0 a little bit easier. Starting to see some buildings in the distance. Getting closer. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a yellow line. We're getting civilized. And just like that, we are back in civilization. I don't know if I like it.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto 30th Street Northwest.
So you're gonna hug the Potomac River until you get to Thompson's Boat Center, and it's around the back. So let's go see if it's actually there. I see it, it's over there. We did it! Mile 0.
The end of a bike trip always gives me a feeling of finality. This now what kind of feeling. But I had to remember that our ride wasn't exactly over. We still needed to find our way to the Amtrak station. Our train didn't leave until 4, so we spent time at the National Mall visiting the Lincoln Memorial, the reflecting pool, the Washington Monument, the South Lawn of the White House, and the Capitol building. The great thing is that all of these are pretty much in a line with one another, so it's almost like a straight shot down the sidewalk once you get to the National Mall. There's just a few street crossings, lots of tourists, and lots of charter buses. And there we were, the Amtrak station. It was almost like the beginning of a new adventure. Getting your tickets, finding the train, loading up your bikes. It's actually pretty exciting. And then there's the part where you find your seat, stare out the window, and as everything turns to a blur, you think back to all of the amazing memories, all from a simple bike trip that will stay with you forever.